all of you need to have your heads examined when you get married. Don't laugh. And examine for, do you know what you're doing and why you're doing it and why that person or not? Because I don't think you actually think it through. You don't think, I love him, I love her, and we're having fun for 5 minutes and going out on dates, whatever. But you're not thinking about 50 years with them. You're not thinking about all of this stuff. That's why so many people get divorced? Because they marry the wrong person. That's why. Well, why did they marry the wrong person? Because they're not thinking about it. They're not thinking about forever. They're not thinking about, that's why I tell people when they're vetting somebody, when I'm counseling them, please pay attention to all the little things that are annoying that you think you can handle, but imagine doing that for 50 years, if it's gonna drive you nuts, but you don't think about that. You guys are not thinking ahead on these things. This is a brutally hard thing to do, and that's why I think he gives it to us, because it's the hardest thing you can do. Jobs are easy. Being single is actually easy. It's lonely, but it's easy. Marriage is the hardest thing you can do. Raising kids isn't so simple either. I think marriage is harder. You know why? Because kids don't stay forever. The wife or the husband does. Okay? It's the hardest thing you do. And we're terrible at it, generally. Of course, we don't think we're terrible. We think our spouse is terrible. You know what's really funny? Every marriage counseling starts off with, we have a communication problem. I wonder why that is. Why can't you communicate? Because you're completely different people and you married the wrong person and it's very hard for you guys to communicate because you're not on the same page about almost anything. But you liked each other. Well, she was cute, he was this, he was that. I thought we don't understand picking people for the right reasons. We just don't. The biggest thing we do, we have no training for, okay? You don't have to have a degree or any kind of proof or certificate of qualifying to do this. And that's why more than half of them are a disaster. And when I say that, even I know statistically half of them get divorced. I think half the ones that don't still want one. They just can't pull the trigger. They just can't do it. But they want one. That leaves us with a very small percentage of people that are out there married and happy. I mean, like most of the time happy, right? That's sad. That's sad. But nobody's there to tell us before we get married to think about it right. Think about I tell people when they're telling me, hey, I think I might want to, vet this person to get married. I said, you need to look for every reason not to marry them. What? Well, you already have an interest, so you don't have to look for reasons to marry them. Otherwise, you wouldn't be asking me about that person. You already have something going, ooh, I think I like that person. So now you're gonna look through that filter for every little thing that makes you happy. I want you to look for everything that doesn't make you happy. I want you to marry them in spite of all those things, but you gotta find them all. They're there, look for them. And then decide, I'm okay with that. And then never come to me complaining about it. Because you should already have known it was there. Not everything you can see beforehand, but who trained you to do that when you were 18, 20 and got married so young or whatever you did? Nobody's there to tell you what to do, to help you to figure this out. Besides, at that age, you're not listening to anybody anyway. See, that's the biggest problem all of you have. It's part of the teaching. You're generally not listening to anybody you should be listening to, but you're listening to those you shouldn't. You're not listening to any kind of proper advice, guidance, and wisdom. So that's a fruitful, you want to talk about a good ground? That's the best ground for Hasatan. Because he'll say anything you want to hear and you'll love it and you'll go and do it because you're a fruitful ground for that. You are fertile ground for that. To listen to every dumb thing anybody might say to you instead of listening to people that, you know why you don't want to listen to people that have the actual good advice? Because they're going to make you deal with you. They're going to make you own. They're going to tell you no. They're going to tell you shouldn't. You don't want to hear any of that. They're going to make you grow up. Oh, but you're going to be mean to me and hurt my feelings. You know what? Fill in the blank your feelings, okay? I'm not playing games with that. Just your feelings, okay? That's what's getting you in trouble anyway. If you make any decisions through feelings, you're in trouble. I want you to have feelings after the decision when you realize it was good and it's going good and everything else. Don't make decisions through your feelings. That's how you end up with the wrong person 9 out of 10 times. You made a feelings decision, okay? And absolutely, this is an encouragement to all you ladies that are, especially ladies or guys, but ladies especially who are in your 30s or whatever, and you're starting to think, I'm never gonna get married, or maybe you had a divorce and now you're looking for that proper, better one, and you're at like 30s, 40s, and you're thinking, I'm never gonna meet somebody. That's better than doing this wrong, okay? Oh, I'm not saying it's gonna be fun. Loneliness, and I hated single. I was married at 35. I hated single. So don't want you to think, well, Rabbi, what do you know? I mean, no, I was single till 35, okay? Now, maybe that's not as old as some as you, but that's certainly enough where I could have the experience of knowing how much I hated being single, okay? But it's still better than a bad marriage. I counsel a lot of bad marriages, okay? Which is funny, because then I get attacked for how many divorces we've had in this congregation. It's not because of me. I'm not the reason they're getting divorced. I'm not the reason their marriages are bad. I'm not the reason why, whatever. But literally, people are attacking me like, oh, well, he must be doing something wrong. I had one lady come to the congregation, file divorce papers, then get angry and scream in my face that I didn't make her not do it. I was like, I never made you do it. You came in here screaming like crazy about your husband. I said, and this was more than once, I said, fine. If that's so bad, then divorce him. What else am I supposed to say? I said, or stop screaming and be okay with it. But it's my fault, because I'm supposed to be like all your pastors that force bad marriages to go on forever and torture people. Is that what you want? Does that make any sense to anybody? I talk to people married 30, 40 years, in their 60s and 70s, miserable because, I say, how long have you been miserable? For almost 30, 40 years. Well, what happened? Well, we went to the church and the pastor told us and we couldn't get divorced and they were just tortured. There was no out, no escape. Listening to the wrong voices, okay? Stop listening to the wrong voices. Stop being afraid to listen to the right voices.